With every sector in the country affected since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out, sighs of relief have been heard as the latest cabinet meeting on Tuesday decided that institutions and businesses in both public and private sectors are allowed to use half of their workforce, up from the 30% restriction that had been imposed after the total lockdown was lifted, and those attending functions such as weddings or funerals can now be as many as 75 instead of the 30 that was previously not to be exceeded. Our sector was among the worst affected by this pandemic, so it is understandable that we are very happy that we are going to be allowed to reopen. I believe that our businesses have been closed since March the 15th all across the country. Some people had been laid off because of this pandemic, and those attending weddings were extremely limited, which was hard to accept when people were turned back because their wedding halls would not take in more than those allowed. I believe now people are much happier, and because more people are being allowed to go back to work, we too will get more customers. We now have far more responsibilities on our shoulders because we were receiving 300 people at this parish, but seeing that it can seat 2,000 people, that means we will now have to allow 1,000 into the church, which means we must work even harder to implement the preventive guidelines. Indeed, changes announced in the announcement issued following the cabinet meeting are significant. Offices of public and private institutions will operate at 50% capacity. Other employees will continue working from home on a rotational basis. Services at places of worship will increase to 50% of venue capacity. Funeral gatherings should not exceed 75 persons. Church wedding ceremonies should not exceed 75 persons. COVID-19 tests will not be required for wedding receptions with fewer than 75 guests. Gaming operators may resume activities gradually upon fulfilling COVID-19 preventive measures. The Ministry of Trade and Industry will provide detailed guidelines. These measures will be reviewed after 15 days upon a health assessment.